Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sports Business Insider. I am Denzel the Sniper, and this is Sean Russell, the sports agent himself, extraordinaire. And I know Cowboys Giants is coming on kickoffs in about 10 minutes. We ain't gonna take up too much of your time. We just want to run a quick one by you real fast. But first, check out all of our great shows on the Sideline Sports Network. The Sideline Sports Show, Top Rope Talk, Hawk Talk, Ken's Pat Show, Picked Off, Cub Confidential. Of course, this one and the gauntlet as well. Hit the like and subscribe button on our page on YouTube and the notification bell for all updates. And also follow us on X as well as Facebook as well. You can find us on Facebook page and also Gauntlet and enjoying. We got a lot of sports talk every single week. So, with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. And this week, kind of a topic out of nowhere, but most definitely worth talking about, and that is the revenue for WWE pay-per-views and PLEs. So, just introducing it real quick. This is going to give you basically an insider of um, how much money is made and how money is kind of doled out between entities as far as a pay-per-view. In particular, we'll touch on maybe some of the big four, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, something like that. Well, now it's the big five. They added Money in the Bank as a big five. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Sean. So for WrestleMania, SummerSlam, economic benefit to host the city, because it's a known fact, and not just WrestleMania and SummerSlam for pro wrestling. We're talking about any city that may host an All-Star game, the Super Bowl, anything like that. It's always money for the city to make as well. But as far as these two in general, could you please touch on that?
Yeah, so like you said, it's kind of like hosting a Super Bowl because you're bringing in you're not just going to get that local crowd, and so you're bringing in more than just the ticket revenue because the hotels are a little more full. Car rentals are going. Obviously, people from out of town are eating out, so it's an impact on the whole city economy. Not to mention the ticket price alone for these the events you mentioned are right in line with Super Bowl prices most of the time in terms of being in the thousands for some of the
Right,
best seats.
right on.
Um, it's estimated that WrestleMania 40, the economic benefit to Philadelphia was $200 million.
That's insane.
Um, yeah, and the other three do almost just as well. About an average of 125 to 150 for the other big three. Money in the Bank numbers. I think it's unfair to put a number on that since they've kind of just added that to the rotation as you've mentioned.
Right.
Um, but the big four have kind of always at least now, not recently, more recently, not always. We'll touch back on that in a minute. They always now about 125 to 150 for the host city in terms of economic impact.
Right.
Now there is a cost to the host city, which is about $20 million, and that covers them paying for the venue, extra security for the wrestlers, whatever else WWE requests of them, whether it's buses, travel, any of those extra expenses will be covered by the city, which is about $20 million. So
Yep.
figure your net profit on WrestleMania is about $180 million as a city.
On average. Now, um, there's going to be a bit of a shift. And if you could expound on that, because next year, for example, SummerSlam in Minneapolis will be a two-night event.
And that's really helped WrestleMania's numbers go up by having the 2 night events in the big stage.
Oh, I think he froze. Hey, man, you froze. Okay, you're back.
Sorry, we're in the middle of this storm down here, and then that's a little choppy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope everything's all right over there because that thing just made landfall. But no, what were you saying about the two-night event, SummerSlam?
All right, are we back?
Yeah, we're back. Go ahead.
No.
Can you hear me? Oh, looks like he's got to leave and come back in. Um, but well, okay, I'll give my thoughts on it. It's gonna be great. If I'm not mistaken, SummerSlam was not hosted by Minneapolis since the 1999 edition, when Jesse the Body Ventura was the guest referee. It was a WWE SummerSlam and Out of Body Experience. Don't exactly have those numbers off the top of my head, um, but indeed it made a substantial amount of money, considering that was, I believe, like the 11th edition. Crazy how that seems like it was just yesterday. But anyway, hey, you back, man?
Yeah, hopefully we'll be okay here.
Okay, okay. SummerSlam 2 night event and how that impacts revenue.
Jesus, this
Was
this
it?
is wild.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, it's crazy because all day the internet's been fine, and of course now it's going to start acting up. The storm's getting a little closer, I guess.
Oh, okay, I got you. Hey, it's all good. We'll only probably be about 2 more minutes because I know how it is down there.
Yeah, so like we were mentioning, where you're splitting it over 2 nights, you have 45,000 people. Now, obviously, some of those are going to buy tickets for both nights, but there's going to be a lot of people who buy tickets for one night or the other. Essentially, they're not doubling attendance, but they're pushing attendance further than it's ever been by doing the 2 night events.
Right.
Um, Not to mention the merchandise sales as well. So you've got nights of merchandise sales versus the one night of merchandise sales. It's really pushed up the profits. WrestleMania 39 got 21.3 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the merger with TKO, which was obviously before WrestleMania 40 then did 38.5 million, almost a full 80%.
Mm-hmm.
So the numbers are astronomical on the 2 day events. And I think, obviously when you've got the success behind you at this point that they have, and the numbers just keep going up and up, I don't think they see any reason to not make all the big events, a two day thing. They're already in those towns all weekend. They might as well take advantage of the 2 days.
Mm-hmm. And some interesting notes. After paying all the talent and staff for the show, um, WrestleMania over 40 million on average. They still top 40 million, and that's even with giving The Rock almost $10 million to appear. That's crazy.
Your Reigns and Rhodes have to be up there in the $1 million range for that pay-per-view as well.
Hmm.
So you figure the actual number probably was somewhere around 200, somewhere in there, after they took out all their expenses. The net number was 200, uh the gross, excuse me. um but that's still when you compare it to the Super Bowl, since WWE doesn't run ads like the Super Bowl does, they've started to add in ring sponsors, which may boost this more in the future years. But I think where that number sits, at 40, and people go, wow, that's it. It's because there's really no ads during WrestleMania.
True.
And if they are, it's really already a sponsor that's built into WWE. So I don't think they're paying a whole lot extra for that WrestleMania spot compared to a Super Bowl spot, which we know is millions of dollars for about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and for like a ton of ads because, well, you got to think, and not just WrestleMania, but pretty much for every pay per view, there's usually only one sponsor, and that sponsor is, people know who it is because, well, it's plastered in the ring and it's announced as the program comes on. Snickers presents the
Yep.
greatest show in the world, WrestleMania. You know, Snickers is sponsoring it. They typically only have one sponsor, whereas for the Super Bowl, how many on average for a Super Bowl? About 10, 15, 20?
Right, right. And
Way
with
more than that?
you would figure with the amount of breaks they take, you think they may start looking in terms of maybe selling out some of those spots, but they really use those spots to just promote the next WrestleMania or the next event coming up next month. They're really ad spaces really for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then last but not least, SummerSlam typically averages 30 to 40 million. Royal Rumble and Survivor Series about 25 to 30 million, 25 to 35 million apiece. Now, I'm actually curious because they make a lot of money out in the shows in Saudi Arabia. And if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago, Vince McMahon actually made $65 million off of, I think, Crown Jewel.
Yeah, I know the number was pretty high for what Saudi paid for them to go over there. I know it was a lot of controversy, obviously because of what was going on at the time, but the number was really big, for them to secure, and now it's become an every year thing.
Yeah, absolutely. They did change it because the first edition, like women weren't allowed to go. and everything. And now they've changed
Right.
it, but now they kind of got to be covered up and everything. They got to go by their traditions.
Yep.
But yeah, Crown Jewel rakes in a lot of money as well. But
No, and if you compare it to even 10 years ago, before the merger, before they really were a heavy public company, WrestleMania 30 only did 10.9 million.
what? Which
So you're talking
30?
WrestleMania 30,
Oh wow.
10.9 million in gate revenue. So and you WrestleMania 40 was 38.5. The increase over the last 10 years, is astronomical for what they've done.
It is also considering that WrestleMania 30 was in the Superdome.
Yeah,
So it's not like, that, and then the crazy part is 4 years later it was back in the Superdome, So
yeah,
but no, that actually is pretty insane. Because I thought it would have done more than that, like 10 million. But then again, that's just gate revenue. It's not total revenue.
correct.
Okay. Do you happen to know what the number was total for 30?
No, I don't know what the total number was.
Okay, okay. No, I was just asking. That's okay. Anyway, the game just kicked off. We're gonna go ahead and leave you guys. But thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks a lot, Sean, for coming in. I know we had this topic kind of on short notice, but everybody tune in to all the great shows on the Sideline Sports Network, and we will see you all next week. Sports Business Insider, we out.